In the beginning of The Boogieman Cometh, they establish how routine things are for the Ghostbusters. Not that their job is easy, but they have the tools and the talent to go up against the average spook and specter haunting the neighborhood. Then the Boogeyman enters the picture, and things aren't so routine anymore. The Ghostbusters then have to rise to the challenge in order to defeat the Boogeyman. Egon having a traumatic childhood connection to the Boogeyman was a good way of upping the stakes and making things more personal. The trauma he experienced as a kid at the hands of the Boogeyman ultimately led him on the path to becoming a Ghostbuster.
When I was a child, the Boogeyman would come out of my closet. He's the reason I started investigating the supernatural. I wanted to find a way to stop him.
The idea or story of the Boogeyman dates back as far as the 1500s. There are many different versions of the Boogeyman from many different cultures. The Boogeyman is a mythological creature typically used by parents to frighten their children into behaving. Stephen King wrote a short story called The Boogeyman in the 70s. The macabre tale cemented his status as a master of horror. The concept is ripe for cinema adaptation. There was a 1980 movie called The Boogeyman. There was also a 2005 movie titled The Boogeyman based on King's short story, which actually spawned a sequel a few years later. A 2023 film adaptation of King's work was also released. The Boogeyman is referenced more than a few times in John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween.
Was the Boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
The real Ghostbusters version of the Boogeyman may have been inspired by a classic macabre tale, but writer Michael Reeves put his own unique stamp on the fable. And the artists that designed the Boogeyman deserve a great deal of credit for adding to the creep factor of the character. I think the idea of the Boogeyman thriving on children's fear had to be inspired by Stephen King's It. The Boogeyman Cometh episode is an absolute standout. All of us can recall a time in childhood of being afraid of what's hiding in our closets or what's lurking under our beds. It's extremely relatable. Equally relatable is Egon's willingness to confront his childhood fear and overcome it, with the support of his friends. Series writers such as J. Michael Straczynski and Michael Reeves picked up the torch of the original movie's creative team and ran with it. The series consistently features interesting stories and effectively connects the animated series to the original film, and is a pitch-perfect continuation. And in many ways, The Real Ghostbusters is much more effective a continuation than any of its big-screen sequels or reboots. Episodes such as Citizen Ghost, Mr. Sandman, When Halloween Was Forever, and of course, The Boogeyman Cometh, just to name a few, are worthy of big-screen treatment in my opinion.